Hello, bookworms of Concord. I'm finally doing the books that I've read in January 2025. I know this is very late. I would have done this much earlier, like everybody else has done, but I was in Finland at the time and I didn't have all the books with me for obvious reasons, and I didn't feel like finding the pictures of the covers to put them up and line them up with, where I'm at in the video, because that just takes way too much time. And so maybe that makes me lazy, whatever. I don't care. This is my channel, so I get to do with it whatever I want. So, the first book I read is The Outsider by Stephen King. In January. This was not just the first book I finished, but also my first 5-star rating for 2025. So it's basically about a young boy's body is found brutally violated, and all the forensic evidence points to a beloved Little League coach, but his alibi is indisputable. So can he truly be in two places at once, or is someone or something else involved? Excellent book. I think we really need more mystery novels from Stephen King, and this book is the reason why I don't like James Patterson anymore, because I read several of his books in a row just before this, which he is a mystery author, and then as soon as I got to this, with all those mystery elements, I'm like, man, all the details in here are what James Patterson is missing in his books. Not to say Patterson is a terrible author. I have enjoyed his books, but now I just find them kind of boring. The next book I read was Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein. Now, this is nothing like the movie, which I believe the director did purposefully. And the movie is still great. I mean, it's its own thing. I still love the movie despite how much it completely strays from the book, which is a very rare thing to say. But this is basically a coming-of-age story that follows Juan Johnny Rico from the brutal boot camp of the Federal Armed Services into his military career as he battles the bugs and other intergalactic wars. There's not as much action as I would have liked, and it spends a lot of time with Johnny's inner dialogue and the philosophy of the government, which I found really interesting, and explains why the book has been so controversial. But it being a military sci-fi, it wasn't as there wasn't as much action as I was hoping. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. I didn't expect to like this book as much, especially because of how thick it is. As familiarity with the book and its film and play adaptations might expect, it follows the young orphan Oliver Twist as he follows the maltreatment and abuse of his peers and his elders. The novel is largely a criticism of the United Kingdom's Poor Law Amendment Act of 1834, as well as the hypocrisy of the parishes that ran the workhouses that essentially enslaved orphans and other destitute peoples. It's a sad tale exploring mainly the theme of loneliness, but there is hope that dawns across the proverbial horizon. I gave this 5 stars. Again, did not expect to like it so much. Maybe because this has a close place in my heart. I remember watching the 1968 musical movie often with my mom. I played as, I forget the character's name now, but I played as one of the, I don't want to spoil. If you have, man, you've had over a century of not being spoiled. I played as the guy who adopts Oliver Twist at the end in the middle school play, and of course Oliver and Company. I believe is a cartoon movie by Disney. Either that or DreamWorks. I want to say Disney. I always confuse the two. But I love that movie when I was a kid. So yeah, this just has a special place in my heart. This next one is Unmasking Autism, The Power of Embracing Our Hidden Neurodiversity by Dr. Devin Price. My first nonfiction book of the year, maybe my only, because usually I save nonfiction for when I'm doing continuing education at the office as a pastor. But without getting into it, I'm without a congregation right now, so I haven't been reading as much nonfiction. But this has been an extremely helpful book in my own unmasking journey with my recent autism diagnosis a little over a year ago. It has a lot of great exercises to facilitate the journey of unmasking and excellent research done into autism. However, Dr. Price does spend an inordinate amount of time talking about trans autists, because while advocating for this marginalized group, Price ends up marginalizing the Christian autistic group who don't identify with trans struggles, which defeats the purpose of advocating for all autistic people. If you're watching this on TikTok, please go see my YouTube channel, Bookworms of Concord, for my full review on this book. So despite, again, it's been extremely helpful in my own unmasking journey. But because of all those biases, the author has 2 stars. And before I move on to the next book, despite the problems I have with this book, I do recommend this to you if you received a late autism diagnosis like I have. And the last book I read in January 2025, which I actually finished while I was in Finland, just a couple days of being in Finland, seeing my wife, Strangers by Dean Koontz. This was only my second novel at the time by Koontz, and I didn't expect to love it so much. He's definitely become one of my favorite authors, I think. The book follows 4 strangers surrounded by strange, mysterious events. And besides a pervading fear and even obsession, what connects all these characters is kind of the main intrigue. The suspense, of course, is masterful, and it keeps you guessing throughout most of the book until the end, where you can probably piece it together yourself before the big reveal. And throughout most of the book, I didn't expect it to go where it did, but after how it all ties together, it just makes sense. So yeah, excellent book by Dean Koontz. And that's all the books I read in January. In the coming week, I'll be making another video about the books I read in February, since I'm making this video so late for understandable reasons. So yeah, if you've watched this far, despite how late the video has been, thank you for watching. Okay, bye.